Welcome to Two Feathers Restorations and Design. On this episode, we are talking about our wiring on this PD4151. Our wiring that we ordered has arrived. So we're going to do a little speed up a video here of the unpacking of our 73-pound box of wiring. You can see they pretty well utilized every inch in this box. I originally had done this video kind of explaining the wire. Then once we went back and we reviewed the photo and video, we realized that it just didn't show the close-ups of our wire. So we'll add to this video here in a second here, but we're going to go ahead and unpack this wonderful box of gold in our eyes. You got a vast amount of color when you look at a bus of this stature. So many different circuits, 50 some odd circuits I think is what we had counted, but yet a lot of them use the same colors, it's just different gauges. So you'll see that as we go through here and we show you the different styles, you'll see certain commonalities, the black to the solid reds. So we're gonna swap over here to our slower video. So we have unboxed our wiring that we have received. We're going to give you a little better close-up. Okay, so our wiring has come in 73 pounds worth of wire that we have initially ordered for the bus project here with our PD4151 GM Silversides BUS that we are currently working on here at Two Feathers Restorations and Design. Now, this bus will be doing a lot of great things in its future, traveling the U.S., showing you how you can do a conversion and do it in a way that doesn't detract from the bus too much, and allows it to stay original for more of a purist look. Now, of course, ours will, on the back of the bus, have some flexible rooftop solar panels. But other than that, it will be disguised, and you will not know anything other than the fact, just by looking from the outside, that it is an RV. But part of the bus structure, we want it to be as original as possible. So we have gone to the lengths of our plans here that you can see underneath the wiring here, that we have an original diagram, and we have color-coded everything to what is available. So we did an initial order based on some guesstimates of what will be needed to replicate what most likely will be used on this bus. Now, it is possible that we will do an additional order. We are going to document the amount of wire used in each color. Now, these are wires that are produced by Rhode Island Wiring. Their machines are able to create every pattern you see here. There are other patterns that were utilized by General Motors in 1948. However, 8 of those colors in those patterns are not available through Rhode Island Wiring due to the fact that their braiding machines cannot do those particular patterns. So we have changed 8 colors to other options that they do have. So not a big deal. When you look in the dash, if you were to pull the dash out, or in the engine compartment where there will be wire exposed, you will have what appears to be original wiring, and that is our goal. Now, a lot of this stuff is 20-30 cents a foot after it's been treated, as you see. Now, taking some wire here, we can grab a 14 gauge 100 foot spool of wire. One of the things, if you are to look carefully here, is this is actually a stranded wire, and you can barely carefully see the white outer casing. This is regular modern wire that you would buy from any quality manufacturer. Then what has happened is the process that a Rhode Island wiring does is to apply the fabric over the top of the modern wire. Now, this wire is superior over what would have been found in 1948 and 47 when the Silversides buses were built. That type of coating is not the same product we have today. Today's wiring is superior, and the coating is much thicker than what you would have found. Now, they also would have, over the top of this fabric, would put a wax coating, which is not necessarily the case. This has no wax coating over it. When we look at this 16 gauge 100 foot, you can kind of see, as I hold it on an angle, this particular material does have a bit of a sheen to it. So I'm not personally aware of them putting any kind of coating. I think it has to do with the material itself. But it is possible that they do treat the material a little bit. You'll see that on a few of these, that there is a little bit of a sheen to the braided material. Now, as I pull these together here, you'll see the different patterns up close. And this is more of a 50-50, kind of a houndstooth look, depending on the angle which you look at it. Now, if you visit Rhode Island Wiring online, you'll see how they define these particular patterns. This one here is a 16 gauge 100 foot, and this reminds me of Christmas. It is a crisscross type pattern. We can stay focused on it here. You can see how it crisscrosses. So very unique, very candy cane like. Another unique design is this black and white crisscross. So that's using the same pattern, just different color. We have a blue here that is very interesting. It's more like an inline tracer. And we'll get a little better close up. This is actually a really nice pattern. We have some solids back here in different gauges. This black one here is a single tracer of red against the black. Odd color, really hard to see, but it is a brown with the red tracer. Then we have some interesting combinations as well. This one's a little bit easier to see. It's a black tracer against the brown color, but then we get even funkier with a red and black cross pattern against the brown. So those, I think, as they age, are going to be harder to really see. But I'll tell you, taking this bus apart, you would have really seen how difficult it is to make out the colors in the first place. This is actually pretty nice. Yellow tracer against the blue. So we have various combinations of single tracers with greens, even a solid blue here. Then we have some smaller amounts. This is all because we have different gauges. They may be on the same circuit. So for example, you have a 16 gauge and a 14 gauge. It just depends upon where they need to be used. But they may be on the same circuit, different uses. This may split off for whatever reason. So when you look at your wiring diagram, you just got to be aware of keeping things in common if they're on the same circuit, but there will be changes for the type of power demand. So that this color here may very well have been for the clearance lights. Without looking at the chart here, it's kind of hard to see exactly which one it would be. We do have Rhode Island wiring does do a paperwork with you, and in our case we supplied a list of the color codes that we wanted, and yet we had to modify those, so she had put those off to the side so we can coordinate what circuit goes to what. So here we go with some 16 gauge in this packet, and you can kind of see some of the patterns within that. So black with a white tracer. I really like these yellows, quite interesting. This one here has your double tracer type look to it, and that is what they call it, with the blue against the yellow. I got some brown in there with the black tracer. So again, a lot of these are going to be repeat colors, just in a different gauge than the spool, only because we needed smaller amounts. Now, as we get this bus done, and if we end up finding that we have a higher demand on doing custom harnesses on buses, for example, we may stock larger spools if there is a demand for this type of harness wire. We used to make them from scratch on vintage cars before we started doing vintage trailers. Vintage trailers do not typically use this wire, only because it's in the walls. We usually stick with modern and not go with this additional expense unless it's a 1930s or 40s trailer where it can be exposed. So pretty nice colors. But like I said, we will be putting together a modern diagram to fit our bus for service records, for service needs, and that'll be ever so important with your Silverside or any bus you're working on, so that can be put with your service manual for if and when you need to add another circuit to your bus, or if you have a problem that develops, you're able to address it. Alright, our bus has spilled its guts for you. I think it's a pretty cool picture, don't you think? Well, we're in the process of now getting her ready to start reassembly of this bus. We're going to watch a little video here from one of our previous videos. Jill here is just going over the Bay Area where the pony motor used to sit. But anyway, when it comes to Rhode Island wiring, we are a dealer for them. We've been working with them for over 20 years in my history in the automotive industry. From building harnesses from scratch in my profession, they also offer harnesses that they manufacture because I don't do them from stock anymore. With the nature of our shop, we just don't do it unless it's a situation like this where it's a bus. Now, they offer all types of products. You can literally go online to their website. They're fantastic people. They are mail order only. That's why we're a dealer. You can come to us, talk to us, handle everything here. They do not like phone calls because they are trying to do the work. So that's where us dealers come into play. When you start comparing prices to wiring, we looked at places like Napa, who's just up the street. We have a dealer's contract with them for parts and stuff. Even with their pricing, they were comparable to our cost with Rhode Island wiring. So it was a moot point. As far as offerings and the variations of colors that we needed, Napa could not supply that. The manufacturer of that wiring, who we know, could offer that product, but Napa will not order it. So that limited us. The size of coils that you're required to order were 25, I think it was 100, 300, and 500 foot coils. When it comes to Rhode Island, we can literally buy it by the foot. So there is no, hey, you are stuck with wire. And you have these awesome colors and patterns. So you really can't go wrong. Fantastic look. Easy peasy. Modern wire, vintage look. It's a winner all the way around. And it's that extra detail in your engine compartment that are really going to get people scratching their heads. Now, of course, if you followed our previous videos, make sure you like us on YouTube and follow us. We are also on our Patreon page where we release our videos first. Then certain videos are released to the public a few weeks later or a few days later, depending on the type of video. So do visit us on Patreon. We also do special videos that are not released to the public. And it's a way to support the RV Hall of Fame Traveling Museum, which this bus is part of. So they have trailers that are Henry Ford's trailers to all types of different trailers that are traveling the New England area and beyond to various RV events to show the public what our history used to look like. This is a Greyhound bus that will be converted into an RV. Even though it's modern, it represents our shop, which is Two Feathers Restorations and Design. But we're using modern stuff to show how popular a vintage bus can be in modern convenience. This has been something that's been going on from hippie era to present. This bus was purchased originally in '64 and slightly converted. It was never a full-on conversion. You will find many out there that were converted in the late '60s. We have another bus that was indeed fully converted. You have stuff all the way through the '70s. And a lot of those buses need to be redone at this point. So this is nothing new, but this is a modern take on it. Cosmetically, the goal is to look original, with the exception of the dead giveaway, which is the solar panels that are going to be on the roof that are flexible. So we sell all these components. We do all these custom builds. So this is where we're at. We thank you for joining us, and we will see you on our next video.